Behave yourself. That's what Uber is saying to riders. Let's talk about it. Welcome everyone, Mark here from Uber Hints. Good to see you again. As always, before we get started, I'm going to ask, if you haven't already, please subscribe to this channel and ring that bell icon so you know when I post new videos. All right, this just came out. It hit the news this week, although it sure seems to me that this is familiar. This has a real familiar ring to it. So let me know when we saw this before, because I was looking through some of my notes and I didn't know exactly, I don't recall reporting on it, but this sure seems familiar. Anyways, let's get on with the story. Uber is now requiring the same good behavior from riders that it has long expected from its drivers. Uber riders have always had ratings, but they were never really at risk of deactivation until now. Starting today, riders in the US and Canada are now at risk for deactivation if their ratings fall significantly below a city's average. All right, let's start right there, because what I'm looking right here is more of Uber's gobbledygook when they say it falls below the city's average. Average. What average are they talking about? First of all, there are 3 different ways to determine an average that I know about, right? And average is just that. Average is what happens kind of in the middle. Whether you take the median, the mode, the mean average, you know, it's signifying pretty much the same thing. Something's in the middle, and then there are other things on the left or right or top or bottom. So if you take what most people think of as the average is when you combine them all together and divide them by the number, and that's our average, right? The very fact that we have an average means that half the people are going to be above that and half the people are going to be below that. That was the reason that, you know, it was such a humorous thing when Garrison Keillor, who I never thought was all that funny, when Garrison Keillor used to say that the kids of Lake Wobegon were all above average. Well, you can't have any population that's all above average. Only half of them are going to be, by definition, above average. So, when they say people fall below average, what is significantly? Because half of your ridership is going to be there in the first place. I don't know. Does Uber think they're pulling one over on us? Let's continue. Respect is a two-way street, and so is accountability. Here's our quotable quote from Uber head of safety, brand, and initiatives. How's that for a moniker? Kate Parker. Now, I think that whenever you are a PR person, your whole job is to spin, right? Drivers have long been required to meet a minimum rating threshold, which can vary from city to city. So she's already saying, yeah, we don't have a standard. While we expect only a small number of riders to ultimately be impacted by ratings-based deactivations, it's the right thing to do. They're back to this. The right thing to do, period. Isn't that what Dashley Dara said? And how has he followed up on that? How has that do the right thing period been working out for you guys? For drivers, they face a risk of deactivation if they fall below 4.6. Now, they have been saying that for a long time. How come they can make a solid line for drivers but not for riders? How come riders going to fluctuate and it's going to be kind of muddy and we're using terms like significantly and area average, but for riders 4.6? Why not? Or for drivers 4.6. Why not do that for riders? Although average ratings are city specific, yes they are. Also that 4.6, I suspect they never went by that anyway. I think if they need a rider or a driver, they will put, if you have a heartbeat and can fog a mirror, they'll put you on the road. Unless, of course, they don't want to pay you a bonus. I don't know. I'm feeling really bitter today. Am I coming off being real bitter? I'll smile some more, okay? That's not always a good thing either. Looks like I'm growling, baring my teeth. All right. Uber, however, is not disclosing the average rider rating. Of course not. But says any rider at risk of losing access will receive several notifications and opportunities to improve his or her rating. An Uber spokesperson told TechCrunch, that's where I got this from, TechCrunch. Just like they do for us, right? They never summarily dismiss or deactivate us. They always give us lots of warnings. And okay, I'm being facetious. This is my sarcasm leaking through. This is just a PR game. If you haven't picked up on it by now, my opinion on this is nothing but a smokescreen. This is all about trying to make themselves look good and trying to boost their faltering brand. I haven't checked it today, but it's been slowly dropping. Last time it was below $41. For example, Uber will offer tips to riders around encouraging polite behavior and keeping the car clean. Ultimately, we expect this to impact only a very small number of riders. So that's the second time they've said that. This is part of Uber's refreshed community guidelines, which will appear front and center on the Uber app and require confirmation of acknowledgement. Yeah, there's so many things to comment. I'm going to leave this one for you guys about you have to acknowledge before you can use the app. They could put in there, you must donate your first child to Uber to put up on the human slave market, and people would approve because they need a ride home from the bar that night. Holding riders accountable for their behavior on the Uber platform is an important safety measure to protect drivers as well as fellow riders who may book shared rides. While most riders are respectful, banning riders who threaten driver safety, spew racist rants, and disrespect or damage our vehicles is the right thing to do. Boy, they're really hitting that mantra, aren't they? For too long, they've been one-sided accountability, and this is a positive step toward correcting that. Uber, listen to me. If you want to make a positive step, pay drivers more. Pay drivers more. And don't charge riders more to get it. Take it out of that huge chunk that you're biting out of the cookie. Oh, you can't do that, of course, because then you can't increase your profit, and then your value goes down in the stock market. I don't know. Uber kind of backed themselves into a corner, didn't they? All right. Now, as a subset of this, there's another thing here that offers riders a chance to choose their driver. And this is from Engadget, and the headline reads, Uber could give you the option to favorite your driver, so you can ride with them again in the future. They can't even manage a really good reservation system, and they want to do this. What if I'm your favorite and I'm not out driving that day? Why not let drivers know ahead of time when someone wants a ride? That would solve so many problems. Uber might be developing a feature that lets riders add drivers as favorites so they can ride with them again in the future. App researcher Jane Manchon-Wang revealed the potential app addition on Monday, noting that Uber was apparently testing the feature. No other details have been given so far. This would be a big change for the app, and indeed Uber overall. On one hand, this kind of feature could pose a privacy risk for drivers. How? They're not going to know any more than they knew when they took the last ride, other than, hey, I want this guy again. That's all they have to know. How is that a privacy risk? But if well implemented, could help bolster a sense of confidence and security among riders. Almost everyone who uses the service has a tale to tell about a past Uber driver. Oh boy, there is no editorializing in that. That's how you can always tell when a story is unbiased or not. When they sneak in their little opinion. Almost every rider who uses the service has a tale to tell. Where is the facts to support that statement? I know that's neither here nor there with the story, but I always think it's so interesting when the media, I just hate the media. The media, they want to present themselves as being unbiased, but they throw in just little tidbits like that to pass as facts. And if there is nothing to support that, don't put it in your story. There's no point to it. So there is no way of straight up avoiding particular individuals. This function will at least make sure you get a driver that you're comfortable with. It's not a bad idea, I suppose, if you can request a driver. This is getting now to be more and more like a private car service then. But Uber is controlling the whole thing. Are we still independent contractors? What I'm sensing is a lot of riders or drivers have figured this out, and they're giving out their personal information, their business card, they're taking rides on the side, which I think is very risky because, you could lose your license and get sued and everything else if you're, not licensed to do that kind of business. But I don't want to get sidetracked. So they realize that drivers are doing this. So what they're trying to say is, why don't we figure out a way to do this ourselves? You know, we're getting undercut by our own drivers. So if we can give riders a way to get hold of them through our app, let's do it. But like I said, this is going to be almost worthless unless they can schedule the rides in advance. Asking for me doesn't do a lot if I'm on a different part of the city or I'm on a different ride with someone else. But if you ask for me in advance and say, I'm going to need Mark tomorrow morning, I'm going to need Mark in 3 hours, that helps. So that's the only thing I think that's going to make this efficient. What do you think? Do you think that the selecting a favorite driver is a good idea? But what would it, and even if you do, what would it take in order for it to operate smoothly and effectively and really, really work? Also, what do you think about the good behavior plan? Do you really think any rider is going to get deactivated? I mean, if they don't make the local news, I think it's going to be really tough because riders are their bread and butter. If they kick a rider off, they are losing that filthy lucre, right? Well, that's my take on it. I'd love to hear what you have to say. As always, I encourage you to like and share the videos. Please subscribe. Ring that bell icon up above so you know when I post new videos. And let's hear your comments on this, everyone. Thanks for joining me. I'm Mark with Uber Hands.